all sorts of philosophers everywhere who take reference from other people or maybe just come up with their own thing on their own. Today, I'll be speaking about Tao Chen's poem Drinking Wine, the fifth in a series about drinking. In the two translations of Tao Chen's Drinking Wine, a particular line stuck out was, "Since my heart is a wilderness, the world fades," which is found in the Tony Barnstone Course Pack translation. In this initial translation, the English poem comes across as almost peaceful and appreciative of the speaker's solitude. In comparison, the translation provided from the directions of this first paper, from Ji Sui, reads, "With the mind detached, place becomes remote." Now, though it's a similar narrative carried throughout the whole poem with before and after this line, that specific line sticks out with a specific word choice that changes the tone. With that word choice comes the interpretation that being alone might be sad rather than freeing, with the term detached in comparison with heart is a wilderness, has a large difference in tone from the author depending on which translation is used. More specifically, heart being a wilderness implies that it's free to run, it might be a wild animal, versus the mind being detached means somebody isn't present in the situation at hand, which immediately comes off to me as negative. In the 4th through 8th lines of this poem, immediately following this one line that sticks out to me, the speaker goes into detail about how his mind is absent from the situation at present, similarly to what's called in modern day dissociation. However, Tao Chen seems to write this as an enjoyable time rather than one of hopelessness. World Languages professor Viricio Massimo writes that the simple act of gathering chrysanthemums can transport him, the speaker, far away to the southern hills. While one translation sounds less at peace than the other, the following lines about the peacefulness and enjoyment of being within the mountains are clear. Becoming detached is something that happens with the influence of this beautiful landscape around the speaker. Picking flowers, hearing the birds, it all transports his mind into somewhere euphoric. Which leads into the analysis that authors at New World Encyclopedia have made. They note that during the Han Dynasty, the time period in which Tao Chen was alive, Buddhist influence was already present in the region in Asia. So Tao Chen's poem has these references to a detached mind, which could mean enlightenment, a reference to that Buddhist philosophy. Now, moving on to the final line, making our way all the way through the poem. In his final line in the poem Drinking Wine, I believe that's likely an influence from Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu. That suggested founder of the Taoist or Taoist philosophy is the direct inspiration for anyone who follows. With the heavy nature metaphors found in Tao Chen's poetry, with the peaceful tone throughout, the appreciation of nature, and the overall format of his poem being poetry rather than prose, it creates like a direct link between Lao Tzu's poetry and Tao Chen's. In fact, other analysts of Tao Chen's poems have recognized the same themes. Researchers at Columbia University, one in specific being Professor Robert Oxum, note that Tao Chen then goes on to suggest, as many Taoist philosophers have suggested, that ultimate truth cannot be conveyed in language. This ultimate truth, I feel like once again, is associated with Buddhism. One could argue that Tao Chen is influenced not only by Lao Tzu, but also by Buddha, or people who might have spread that philosophy through his region in China. Thank you.